Hello, everybody. I'm Suzanne Neufang. I lead GBTA on the staff side, and I'm so happy to welcome you to our first ever town hall with the GBTA Board of Directors. So as we go through the agenda quickly, I'll be turning it over then to our esteemed Board of Directors. If you'd page down, please. Our agenda today is packed, so let's start right in. So I'll turn it over to Denise, who will give you guidelines for today's webinar, as well as for the introductions of the board themselves. Then we'll go through some board committee updates, which I think is always fascinating because they lead committees on your behalf about topics that are really, really near and dear to the association's heart. So membership today, featuring sustainability today, an update on bylaws, an update on the elections, and then communication and advocacy. Finally, we'll have a quick overview of what GBTA events are coming up, and then open up the floor to Q&A. So with that, I'll turn it over to Denise Trousseau, who is president of the GBTA Board of Directors. Denise?
Thank you, Suzanne. I want to start off by just saying thank you to all of you for joining today's first ever GBTA town hall. It's our goal to provide these town halls throughout the year. It's a way to give you the opportunity directly to network with us, your volunteer leaders, and so that we can hear directly from you on how we can better serve you. It's great to see so many familiar faces and new faces. We welcome both the GBTA members around the globe, those on the Asia, who's it's late into their evenings, Europe midday, and for us in the US, either morning or early morning for somebody like me on the Pacific Coast. My name is Denise Trousseau, for those that I have not met, and I am honored to be here today representing you as the elected GBTA board president. The entire volunteer board here today with our executive director, Suzanne, are committed to serving each and every one of you. With all of us, the last year has been about relaunching our industry, relaunching GBTA, and rebuilding our partnership with our membership. Some of the key areas that we will continue to focus on is compliance, governance, and financial stability of our organization, all while ensuring that our membership, we're driving our education, networking, and supporting our members. As Suzanne mentioned, today you'll hear from key board members on top 5 specific topics and upcoming events around the globe. But more importantly, we're going to leave the last 30 minutes open for Q&A so that we can hear directly from you. On behalf of the entire GBTA board, we're excited to spend the next hour with you, and we're grateful for you taking this time. A few housekeeping reminders before we get started today. Today's call is being recorded. There could be media or press on today's call, so we just ask you to ask your questions, be as open and honest and candid as possible, but understand that they could be on the call. We're asking everyone to mute your phones, but please turn on your cameras. We want to see you. We want to be able to reconnect with you. We miss our face-to-face meetings, and seeing your face on the screen is the next best thing. If you have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll let you know when you're in queue. I do see one hand up, so let me go finish my opening, and then I'll open it up to that. We've also have a pre-list set of questions that were submitted, so we want to thank those that have asked those questions in advance. If they don't get asked directly from one of the members on the call today, we will make sure that we get time to ask those questions. And any question we don't get to, we will turn around and get a follow-up questions and answers out to each and every person that registered for today's call. So before I turn it over to Jens to get us started, Carrie, you have your hand up, so I'll open it up. And Carrie, do you have a question? Nope. Okay. So with that, Jens, take it away.
Thanks, Denise, and hello, and nice to meet you all. So last year, following board elections, I got the chair responsibility for the membership committee. And I think it would be fair to introduce my fellow committee members, who are Dorothy Dowling, who's Senior VP and Chief Marketing Officer at Best Western Hotels. It's Maria Chevalier, who is Senior Director, Connectivity Partnerships at Trip Actions. And finally, it's Jill Koronkiewicz, Senior Director, Education and Engagement at GBTA. Together, it is our ambition to drive and expand membership with GBTA globally. This is a piece of work which is still in the starting phase, but is well underway. to define what the ambitions and the goals should be, what initiatives should be taken, and who should be involved in achieving the goals and initiatives. As a startup, early this year, feedback was requested from partners and committee chairs across Europe in order to understand what works well for their membership and to get their input to what would create a positive change for their members. Feedback was received from a number of key people in Europe, from Germany, Denmark, Finland, France, Italy, Sweden, and the UK. And we expect to do a similar exercise for GBTA rest of world. Based on the feedback, the input that we got, an initial charter has been made. It's a draft document suggesting purpose, so what we want to achieve, initiatives, the activities that's going to get us there, the objectives, what are our criteria for success, and not least a draft plan for when and how. At the moment, this is still a work in progress, but more is to come. Can we have the next slide, please? Here we are. I should mention that we are presently also collecting members' feedback through other ongoing GBTA projects that also look into global membership and satisfaction. And we will, of course, include that input in our way forward. So this is where we are with regards to the membership committee right now. And what is then next? Well, we definitely need to create a baseline from global membership on what GBTA value is to members. What should we do that we haven't done before, and what should we do more or less of? As said, we're already asking for this, but we may reach out to you for more input. And in any case, your input is always welcome. So please reach out. We are very interested in your ideas, your insights, concerns, or even your positive feedback. I hope that at our next town hall, we will be able to share an overview of planned activities and objectives. Eventually, we want the value of being a GBTA member to reach a point where it is unthinkable not to be a member if you work in the global business travel industry. And this we can only achieve by becoming truly global and by providing the right value and content. So this is what we aim for in our committee. And lastly, I would like to briefly mention a few efforts taken by GBTA related to the war in the Ukraine. Can I have the next slide, please? Here we go. It's so sad that in our time and age, something like this is happening. And we all feel that personally and also job-wise, of course. Yesterday, GBTA held a successful global webinar on how to deal with the war in Ukraine crisis from a travel management perspective, including visa, immigration, business continuity plans, accommodation, and transportation issues. The number of global attendees at the webinar clearly demonstrated the interest and concerns from members, and we continue to follow the situation. And very importantly, I think, to keep each other updated in these times of crisis, we have now also created a Russia-Ukraine forum at the GBTA Hub. This is a place where members can share, ask, and comment with fellow members about anything related to the present crisis. I would really recommend you to go to the Hub to reach out or share relevant information, which could, for instance, be policy changes, emergency or continuity plans, other communication relevant for the crisis. This is so important to many of us, and it is an obvious opportunity for us to stand together and help both our colleagues and each other out. And talking about the Hub, of course, it continues to be a place to look for and share travel management information between peers. This is where we build and grow based on shared experiences. My last point is, to point out a list of what the GBTA supplier community is doing in support of Ukraine. This is a list of a growing list of companies who are making charitable relief efforts, often together with their clients, and who have made this public on the GBTA side. Your company may also want to go there, provide your information, if any. And that was all for me. Thanks for listening. Please reach out with your input and feedback. And now I'm going to hand over to Mark Kushgeri, GBTA Board Vice President and heading up the GBTA Sustainability Initiative. Mark is not physically here as he's on vacation, but he has left us with a video message.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to have the opportunity to share this time with you and to update you on our sustainability journey. During our convention in Orlando, we committed to starting our sustainability journey in 2022 to demonstrate the significant contribution that our business travel sector can make on climate action and corporate responsibility. So what have we been up to since Orlando? Well, the GBTA Founding Partners in Sustainability Programme has now been established. Under this programme, working in collaboration with the industry, we're already developing the framework for sustainability as a key pillar going forward. Of course, sustainability isn't just about green initiatives. It's about managing the costs, social impacts, and the environmental consequences generated by business travel. However, our focus in 2022 will be climate action. 2021 marked a pivotal year in climate pledges and commitments by both companies and governments. The global community voiced a clear need for focused action and solutions. Sustainability is on everyone's mind. It's top of the agenda. But caring about sustainability doesn't mean giving up on travel altogether. Travel's not the problem. Carbon's the problem. So we've had a very few busy months. We've definitely hit the ground running. In January, under Suzanne's leadership, GBTA appointed a new executive to the team to spearhead our sustainability mission in our industry. We're so pleased to welcome Delphine Millot, and I know a number of you had the opportunity to meet Delphine during our conference in Berlin. As part of the programme, we've also launched our Sustainability Leadership Council, the SLC, which will act as an advisory body to guide GBTA sustainability initiatives and act as a sounding board. The SLC will help define priority areas that require collaborative action across our industry, and importantly, how we can best utilise GBTA's global reach, education, research and advocacy capabilities to develop solutions and tools that will help you, our members, both buyers and suppliers, to improve sustainability performance. We want to bring buyers' needs to the attention of suppliers and vice versa, and identify opportunities for greater value chain collaboration. We want to share and learn from other industries, their sustainability actions and experiences, and see how we can transfer best practice from one sector to others. In terms of trends, we want to keep buyers informed of upcoming initiatives to make business travel more sustainable. And importantly, to identify new topics for research on sustainable business travel. As I mentioned previously, sustainability in our industry isn't just a role for one committee. It must be a collective. And I really want to take the moment to thank our volunteers. I can't thank them enough, without which none of this would be possible. So what does it mean for our members, for you? Well, we're working on delivering a number of initiatives this year during 2022 to support you, from toolkits to developing industry-wide accreditation. So watch out for further details as we look to launch throughout the year. Look, as a global association, we recognise our unique position and ability to contribute by mobilising our industry, supporting our members, our staff and society as we transition to net zero. I believe we all recognise that the time to move from words to action is now, to jointly overcome the challenge of decarbonising travel. Thank you.
Suzanne, is there anything that you want to jump in and add before I turn it back or turn it over?
Sure. I would just add, with the launch of the Sustainability Leadership Council this week that we announced in our press release on Monday, and with their first meeting just yesterday, This initiative is off and running. And for those of you from these organizations that were part of the founding partners, thank you so much for helping us get this off the ground financially. And then from the spirit of the Sustainability Committee and those of you who are on this call, who are part of that Sustainability Committee, leaders, participants, and activists for us, certainly it comes to the level of creating tools and resources now, and that prioritized plan for what we deliver to you as members. So we are off and running with Delphine, with Mark's sponsorship, and with all of you. So I would just leave it with that, and we'll turn it over then to the next agenda item. Thanks, Denise.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Suzanne. And, it's a great initiative, and we're excited to continue to see this move forward. Mark did do a great video, so we'll make sure we get that to everyone because it is truly an important topic. So with that, as we're pulling back the screen in the presentation, it's my honor and privilege to turn it over to Will Pinnell to cover an update and provide everyone with next steps on the bylaw transformation. So with that, Will, go ahead.
Thank you. It's nice to have this view so I can actually see everybody's faces. I hope everyone is well. It's great to be a part of this town hall this morning. I wanted to give just about a 5-minute update on the work that we're doing with the GBTA bylaws. There has been a tremendous amount of work so far that we have undertaken over the last 2 years, and that was largely in response to changes that we needed to make to the association. And so I think if we can pull up the slides, I'd like to walk you through just a few things and thank the people that have participated and volunteered up until this point to get us to where we are. So we had last year a tremendous effort of volunteers and people who had worked with us to establish a bylaw committee. And for those of you that were at convention in Orlando, we highlighted those individuals, and it was a monumental effort. It was nearly an 18-month effort of volunteering to get us to the point in which we were able to pass 6 different bylaw changes and revisions last year. There are, I think, 36 individuals that were a part of that effort last year, volunteers who helped us pass a series of bylaws. We passed in early 2021 a series of votes. There were 3 votes that we put forth to the association. One was to allow all active members to vote on GBTA bylaw changes. That was a change. Prior to that change, only our direct members were able to vote. The second thing that we voted on was to recategorize indirect membership, to better define membership, create some affiliate members. There was changes to the way we characterized membership to the association. And the third vote was to shorten the number of days required for candidates to file for office, to make sure that anyone that wanted to participate in the process actually could. In the middle of last year, we passed another series of votes, which was largely the feedback we had heard from the association and collected earlier in the year. And that was, again, another 3 votes. The first one was around the restructuring of the board of directors. And so we wanted to have a better global representation on the board. We actually designated regional seats for both Canada as well as Europe on the board. We removed the chairman from the board, which was currently a direct seat held by the past president. We removed the ALC VP from the GBTA board of directors. We still had 13 members on the board, but the allied members were able to gain another seat. We created term limits as part of our vote as well, which was a relatively large change for us. Directors at large would now be limited to, I think it was at large seats for a maximum of 2 years. And then finally, we voted to allow for cross-voting, which means that allied members can now vote for president as well as direct. And additionally, direct members could vote for allied at-large seats. So that was another big change. As part of all of these changes to the bylaws, we now have a in front of us which needs to let's clean up the rest of the bylaws. We've identified some open issues, some things that need clarification. Up until this point, both Rita Visser and I have worked with our legal counsel, MCI Consulting. We've worked with the GBTA staff to identify some things that need to be cleaned up. We need to clean up some language around the designation of members, annual meetings and notices. I think that there were some comments around the appointments for vacancies. We needed to clarify how the board would ascend or descend if you were serving on the board of directors, and then term limits for the CPC president. So I'd like to get a group of individuals together. And so this is a call out to anyone on this call today that if you'd like to volunteer and help us kind of with the next set of votes, we'd love to have some help. We need volunteers to help us with that effort. All of the changes that were put forth over the last 18 months were in fact put forth by volunteers as part of this committee. None of these changes originated with the board of directors. They all came from the membership. So we need volunteers. I would just ask that if you're interested in this process, we're going to create a redlined agreement. We're going to create a bulleted list of the changes for the association to review. We're going to highlight those changes, and then we're going to put those forth in a vote to all of you. We'd like to put that vote up when all of the board of directors are voted on this summer. So I think, again, I don't have my document in front of me, but I think that we've got a date of July 15th is our day in which we will put forth the changes to the bylaws, the next set of changes. Again, it's largely cleanup, but there will be a clarification of a few things. And then we will have those presented at the annual business meeting, which is, I think, a couple days later, July 17th, July 19th, somewhere in there. And then we will have those up for a vote. Of course, it requires a quorum to change the bylaws, and those will be open through convention. On the Tuesday of convention, which I believe is August 16th, we will actually announce the results of those votes. And if they pass, we'll publish those new bylaws to the website and make sure that they're as cleaned up as possible. If you are interested in volunteering and being a part of this committee, please email me. My email address is will.pinnell@bcdtravel.com. You could also email Rita Visser, which is rita.visser@oracle.com, and let us know if you're interested. We'd like to have 2 interest meetings. I think those we initially had proposed were March 28th. I believe that's next Wednesday. And then I think April 1st is next Friday. So we'd like to have you participate if you're interested. Again, all of the people that participated last year that we were going to highlight today, a big thank you. I suspect a lot of them are on today's call. They were awarded the President's Award last year at convention, which is GBTA's highest honor, as a way of thanking them for all of their efforts. But anyway, thanks for letting me give a quick update. Sorry we didn't have slides for you, but I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in volunteering, please let me know. And with
I
that,
could just jump in for a second, Will, if I may. I know that
please.
you've got a big team of people that volunteered, but I've been in the industry for over 20 years and on a lot of committees. You and Rita did an exceptional job in leading this. This was, like as you said, about 40 volunteers. It was an extremely complex, and you had a lot of legacy data and information, and you had to involve legal and a lot of information, and it was extremely political, and a lot of people had strong views on it. And somehow you were able to navigate that in a way that was collaborative and transparent, and it came with a very strong and powerful outcome. So thank you on behalf of all of us, to you and Rita, for everything you did to come out with an outcome that really was good for the industry and very good for GBTA. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Meg. And I love it. As I'm sitting here watching, I'm getting all these emails coming in at my inbox. So already we've got volunteers coming in. So thank you very much for that. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Maria Chevalier, who is going to talk to you a little bit about some of the work that we're doing with the elections group.
Thanks so much, Will, on there. So as he mentioned, I'm going to cover the election update. And first of all, there are 3 roles that are opened up. All are at-large director, 2 of them being direct, 1 being allied, and all 3, as Will covered, are 2-year terms. So some of the primary dates to make you aware of. The first one is June 16th, and that's when the nominations open up. Okay. The next important date is July 15th. That's where the candidates will be announced by GBTA, and they'll be announced through the typical form, through the GBTA email, along with on our website. In addition to that, at that point, all the candidates will receive the campaign guidelines along with an active GBTA member list to help them in this journey. The next important date is July 19th. And this is what I love, the candidate forum at the annual business meeting. The next important date is July 25th, which is where the virtual voting begins, which is a very important date. And the following one is July 25th, where the virtual, August 15th, where the virtual voting closes on there. And last but not least is from August 14th to 17th. I know we all know it's the GBTA San Diego Convention. It's where the results will be announced and the terms go into effect immediately. One last note here before I hand it over to Allison is that all active GBTA members are eligible to vote, which is important. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Allison Taylor to talk about advocacy and communication.
Hey, thank you so much, Maria, and Will, thank you. Our communication strategy to be a vital, relevant voice in the return of business travel really hit the ground running in January of this year. In fact, so far, the communication stream has been very strong, thanks to Shane Downey, our Vice President of Government Affairs for GBTA, and the small group within the communications team as well. We've actually done 11 press releases so far, January, February to mid-March. And it's really twofold. One is to make sure that we are informing the marketplace and our great members in what's happening in the market, and not just in the US. This is very much an international presence as well. And also making sure that our advocacy efforts and what we are deciding are our topics of choice that we want to make sure that we push forward and advocate for are part of these releases as well. So it's both information to the marketplace and it's advocacy, of course, with the relevant government bodies. And I love the work that Shane has done on that. If you look at some of these 11 press releases so far this year, they cover everything from the Toulouse Declaration right through to advocating for making sure that the US government understands that it's still a hurdle to have them requiring testing as you come back to the US. You know, throughout the pandemic, I was traveling. I've been to 18 international destinations outside the US during this time, just returned Saturday. And the testing, while relatively easy, is still a hurdle. And as you've seen, UK and other governments have started reducing those. So our advocacy for making sure we don't have protocols in place for testing as you return to the US have been a very important and a very important sort of core to a lot of our work so far. Also, of course, we've been announcing our great sustainability efforts, and this is something really near and dear to my heart. And I love that Suzanne has also put a sustainability leadership council together as well during this time. So you can see that we are really covering a wide gamut of information to the marketplace, and thanks really to a lot of your feedback that we get. Also, Shane has been making sure that we are using our GBTA polling of our members to really inform them about what are the corporate travel buyers, what do they need to get back on the road? What do your risk management teams need for business to return for our large multinationals or medium market? And I've got to say, these efforts have been within Europe, Latin America, Canada, and of course, UK and USA as well, as we continue to be more and more global as well. And so I have the pleasure to introduce, of course, Connie Smith. So I love what she's going to present to you. You can see that we're really getting out there and making sure that we're informing our marketplace. So thanks very much. And I really hope the beginning of your year has started well. Over to you, Connie.
Thank you, Alison. And thank you all for being here. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm just going to quickly go over some of our upcoming events, very important events, but also encourage you after to please go to the GBTA website to get more details on all of these events. And of course, the calendar is always packed full of large arrangements of webinars and other educational sessions as well throughout the year. So upcoming in May, we have our GBTA Canada Conference. New this year, we have our GBTA Project Crew and Team Travel Summit. And also in May, we have the GBTA Ladder Summit. Moving into June, we have the US Legislative Summit. In August, of course, we have our Win It Summit just prior to conference. And then our conference in San Diego this year, August 14th to the 17th, where we will be together to reconnect, reimagine, and recreate. And I'm so excited about that and our theme around business travel this year. Moving into the fall, we will have Win It by Gala in New York City. And then following that, our European conference in Brussels is scheduled. And that will be the first day, of course, with our GBTA Sustainability Summit. So a lot of things happening this year through the association, and I certainly encourage you all to take a look, see what you can fit into your own calendars, and I hope to see you at one of these events very soon. Thank you. Now over to Charlene, who will be leading our Q&A, and so over to Charlene. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. So let's jump into your questions. This is your time. This is your chance to ask those of us on the board what you want to know about your association. And I'm going to start really quickly. I see that Mark has put a comment in, Mark Ziegler has put a comment in the chat about consistency of policy. And Mark, I might just ask you to unmute yourself and elaborate a little bit. But I think as a fellow buyer, we all have the same concerns. Do you want to take a minute and just elaborate a little bit on your comments?
Sure. Policy and being able to understand what we need for our travelers with respect to duty of care and what is needed by them when they're traveling so that they know what to expect on a trip. And with respect to policy, I think that GBTA has a duty to advocate for all of the different countries that we have members from to try and find common ground for these policies as they come up for, with the crisis for the pandemic, that we are able to understand what to expect when we travel and not have hodgepodge of policies out there across the globe. GBTA is a forum for that, and that's what we need to step up to.
Great. Thank you, Mark. You know what? I think we certainly agree. And I know Shane is doing a lot of work and keeping all of the regions connected when it comes to advocacy. I know he does a lot of work with Nancy and with Catherine in those two regions and with our friends in LATAM to make sure that there is a connection and that we are not just advocating for our own regions, but exactly what you're asking for, advocating for consistency across the regions and that we're applying those policies consistently. So thank you for that comment, and know that we are working hard to do that. Is there anyone that wants to put their hand up? I don't see any hands up. Please feel free to put your hand up if you want to ask a live question. I will throw to Denise, who has received a question directly, and I'll let her answer, and then we'll move and take a look at the chat.
So thank you, Charlene, for that. There was a direct question that was brought to my attention in the chat. So again, raise your hand. Feel free to ask a question in the chat or direct message one of the board members. So this question, I'm not going to share who it's from unless they want me to, but the question was brought and raised that said, with the recent survey that GBTA board sent out to the membership not too long ago, will the results be shared of the survey, and will the board be taking any action? And so first, I want to thank you for that great question. As you may have noticed over the last 8 months, we have been more engaging with our membership in pulse surveys on our website, and pulse surveys with our membership, whether it's a committee, chapter, or community. And so I'm happy to share with everyone that the results of the recent survey on the NPS score averaged at a 24 NPS score. And we had as high as 46 and as low as 11. So we are addressing each and every comment within those surveys so that we, again, are listening to our membership and making it. But overall, a 24 NPS score specifically to that survey was a great result. And I want to thank everyone for taking the time to participate in that survey. And we will, again, continue to ask for your feedback and input because we're here to serve you and to ensure that our organization is not only sustainable financially, but as Jens shared earlier, the place where members or people in our industry want to join and want to be a part of. So with that, I see that we have another hand up, so I will turn it back over to you, Charlene.
Thank you, Denise. We actually had a question that came into the chat prior to the hand going up, so I'm going to ask that question first. And I'm going to throw this question out. It's, will GBTA be expanding to additional countries in the next few years so that really will become a global organization? So Denise, I'm actually going to ask you to take that one to talk a little bit about some of the things that we talk about when it comes to expansion.
Yep, and I think that there was also a pre-question that came up about that as well, specifically to the Middle East. Okay, perfect. So GBTA, as Will shared in the bylaw committee, stressed having Charlene from the European or from the Canadian as our representative and Jens from the European. Not only are we looking and hearing from our members that we need to expand the board, but we also have to expand our footprint. And so as a board of directors, we are looking at where and how best to expand, but expand smart. We don't want to just plant a flag to have a flag. We need to make sure that when we put a flag in a market, that we have the members there to support us, that we have the support needed to really expand in that region. Having 1 or 2 members is great, but we want to have hundreds of members in each region as we plant a flag. So we are talking about different partnerships. We've got some great partnerships across Europe and Canada that have worked successfully. So we're looking at how can we do that in Asia, Latin America. We have a good presence there. But then where we do have that, where can we continue to expand? So you won't see us just throwing a flag up and putting our name out there just to say we're global. We're really trying to make a proactive, informed decision as we look at that expansion. If you are interested in being part of that expansion, please reach out to Suzanne, myself, or any of the board members, letting us know that that is an interest and that you feel that you can help us in those areas, because we do need the assistance in those areas.
Yeah, Suzanne, do you want to touch a little bit about the partnership that was recently announced in the Middle East, and we can talk a little bit about how those partnerships are helping us?
Sure. We've been providing content for the Arabian travel market, which is something that is certainly an opportunity for us to grow in the Middle East and the expansion there. I would say that that is sometimes the best way for us to, as Denise said, plant a flag for us to partner with a local organization that's already doing something. We provide that global corporate, actually through you, all of you, we provide that global expertise in how things happen. I've also been getting pinged to bring back what had been very popular, how things work in every region. And so we plan to have that at convention and starting to bring that back to the regional conferences so that there is an element of global in the regional conferences as well, and making sure that we've got all of that as a global community. There is nothing more complex, but also more interesting than for us to be operating with that level of expertise. And I know a lot of you on this call today are global experts in and of your own right. And so bringing that level of expertise with your staff in those regions or how things are happening in the recovery, which is often very different, we need to be bringing that back as well so that we can learn from each other and bring that beauty back forward. But I think, in the Arabian market, that's what we're doing, in the Middle East in general. And then we're looking to Asia Pacific next. And then we do have the need for growth in Latin America as well, where we're a bit starting from scratch again after COVID, but we're also very dedicated to that region as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Suzanne. So I'm hoping that we had answered the question from the gentleman that had his hand up. Perhaps it was the same question, but if it was not, please feel free to put your hand back up, and then we will get to your question very quickly. Let's go to some of our members and registrants did actually send in some questions in advance. And so I'd like to take an opportunity right now just to ask one of those questions right now. And it's a question about certifications. So currently, many of our certification programs are strongly US oriented. What plans does GBTA Board of Directors have to adjust those needs and realities for the regions in Europe, APAC, LATAM? I'll throw Canada in there as well. And what is the time horizon for this? So I'll tell you that I'm actually going to answer this question because it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. But one of the new board committees that was formed this year was an education committee that was specifically formed to look at this type of expansion and look at how we can better provide education that is impactful and certifications that are applicable to our members across the globe. And so one of the things that's actually in process right now is a review of the GTP certification, the Global Travel Professional Certification. And so it's a year-long project that began in October. And really the crux of what the group is looking to do is exactly that, to globalize and modernize this certificate so that it's not just applicable to those based in the US, but also to those of us that are based across the regions. And there's a couple of things that you can expect from the group. And this is a global group that is participating from business travel professionals, participating from all of the regions across the world. And the things that you can expect them to deliver in the next little while is there will be updated study materials and resources that will come available this summer. So keep an eye out for those if you're thinking about either taking the GTP or recertifying through the exam. The new exam itself is planned to be launched in October of 2022 for the fall testing window. So keep an eye out for those. If you have additional questions around education, you certainly can reach out to myself. My co-chair is also Philip Pena, who isn't able to join us today. But from a GBTA staff perspective, Jill is always willing to have those conversations and talk about how we can better look at managing some of those requirements for globalization. So let's talk. Do we have any hands up? I thought I saw Mira's hand up. Mira's
hand was up, and she does have a question.
My hand was up.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't want to distract you with the hands up.
No problem. Go ahead, Mira.
Hi, guys. I also put it in the chat, but many of us, thank you to COVID, unfortunately, there's been a lot of shifting in roles and people that are new roles, people that have lost work. What is GBTA doing to support that? I know that you post roles in the newsletter, but those are paid roles that get posted. What is GBTA doing to help our fellow colleagues more on a larger scale?
So, Mick, I know this one's near and dear to your heart, supporting our out of work. I know you've been doing a lot of advocacy, pushing things out. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you've been working on?
Sure. I do. Thank you. It's tough, actually. My list right now is 43. It's gone up and down, and I love when it goes down when we have colleagues that are able to get a job. But it is really challenging right now to find the right match. I think that it's something that we all have to be doing something every day, and it doesn't take very much to do this. And many of you have heard me share this with others before. And I think for me, having been in that situation before, and many of you on this call were people that I reached out to and connected to, and it doesn't take very much to be able to help someone that is out of work. So the first part I'd want to point out is when you have someone that is out of work, even just calendaring it every day, it takes 30 seconds to send a text to say, hey, thinking of you today, how are you? Or, to put 30 minutes in your calendar each week. And I know Maria has done this as well, with reaching out and saying, booking time to say, hey, let me take a look at your resume and let me see where I can help you with knowing someone, because simply filling out an application in LinkedIn is not going to get you anywhere. It's filling out the application on LinkedIn, and then it's seeing who knows that person, who knows someone at that company, and then it's making those phone calls and doing all of that follow-up. I did a webcast with Kelly Kuhn in the fourth quarter, which was well received, and we're going to do that again in the first half of this year under the Win It umbrella. And I'm certainly going to be doing that again under the BNY Mellon umbrella too, just to help people as much as we can. So stay tuned. It's going to be part of our programming to try to help people to get back to work. And we're going to also be talking about this again as it pertains to return to the road and return to work. So I would watch the newsletters that Suzanne puts out and watch those opportunities. And Suzanne, I don't know if there's anything in particular from the GBTA side of things that you wanted to highlight, because I think that there's some more things that people could be watching and taking advantage of.
Yeah, I think even though our GBTA membership, our 1.5 years of free membership expired last year, there's certainly still I think there's some creative comments in the chat that we could go to for creative ways to keep people involved. We do have, basically our job postings are for all intents and purposes free now. So Mira, you said they're paid postings, but they might come in from another agency, but to post with us, we have a free opportunity to do that. So what I would encourage all of your companies to send us the job postings that you might have related to this field. That is certainly a way for us to network. And then I think, by having others, Mick, along with Maria, I think I'll turn it over to Maria then about other ideas that we could do. It is each of our jobs to make sure that we pay it forward. And I think there's a lot of belief in that. And certainly we've all been helped and helped others. And I think that is what makes our industry so very special, that people who might be tempted to leave come back, and people who find a way back need to have us as sponsors. So I think that's an important approach for us from a philosophy perspective as well. Maria, do you have anything to add?
Actually, I think you and Mick said it just brilliantly. Look, it takes a village. And I think you look at two sides, people that are seeking and those who can help. All right. And you think, oh my gosh, there's nothing I can do to help. You'd be surprised what you can do, how you can connect somebody, how you can help them in this entire end-to-end circle and cycle of the career search journey. First of all, I always tell people, when somebody has been displaced, be the first person to call, because that first couple weeks is devastating. It's difficult. It's just saying, I'm here. here to help in anything you need, from being the person who helps you with the insecurities that you face, to putting together the strategic plan, and letting you know how incredible that you are. Sometimes it's just that simple out there. But if you're a seeker, there's so many great different resources for you. From GBTA has some amazing resources. Just think about the membership group. Just being part of that, and that membership group is a powerful, powerful tool. Over 75% of jobs are found in the hidden job market, and that's found through networking. And that's where GBTA comes in brilliantly, because they're in the hidden job market. And we're in the midst of the great resignation. And it's a true thing, and the great shift, as LinkedIn calls it. So there's great opportunities right now in the marketplace because of the great resignation. But it's how do you go about building the right strategy, building, I call it your marketing collateral, the right marketing collateral that supports that, helping with everything as simple as you can go help your friend do a mock interview. Somebody's been with a company for 25 years, they've been displaced, they don't know how to interview externally, coming from the outside in. But anyway, I could talk your ear off about this one. Bottom line is, use your network. If you're currently employed, reach out, let people know that you can help. There's many avenues to achieve that, from GBTA ladders to Win It, to a lot of different ways of which to do that. But I do agree with Mira on there. There's still quite a few people still displaced from COVID and still need a lot of help. So if you're in there, help, and don't think you can't. If you're one that's still displaced, reach out. Your village will help you. They will surprise you and delight you and help you get the next dream opportunity.
One last quick thing, super fast. I know we've got other questions too. My email address is in LinkedIn. It's mick@arrow212.com. And I want to repeat the Win It Summit, Sunday, August 14. We're going to have a lot of jam-packed opportunities around that. And if you need help in registering for that, I will help you to do that too. So Sunday, August 14, be there and we'll help you, and I can help you in the meanwhile. Thank you. Thanks for the question, Mira.
Thank you, all of you, for taking the time to answer that. Just really quickly before I go to you, Ayu, I will, and I hope I said your name correctly. Please correct me if I didn't. I saw that you had your hand up, so we'll get to you in a minute. I just want to quickly, Jack, I see your questions in there. I just want to address that. Unfortunately, that's not a very easy answer, and we need to take that one away. Let us take that away and explore that question and that initiative, and see. We'll come back to you on that one. Okay.
Great, I appreciate it.
Thanks. Ayu, please feel free to unmute yourself. Did you still want to answer a question? I noticed that you put your hand back down.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I just wanted to know if GBTA has any plans for expansion to the South Asian and Asian countries. And moreover, everyone, the question I wanted to ask has been answered already. But the thing is, many people have lost their jobs, and the issues regarding the renewal of GBTA memberships. Moreover, the people working in SMEs and those sorts of companies who have already lost their job, how do they renew their membership if they need to pay the fees? And the primary question I did ask about the GBTA expansion to the South Asian countries and the Southeast Asian countries.
So let me jump in there. So thanks for your question, Adaway. Our intent is to do some exploratory things within Southeast Asia, probably centered around Singapore to begin with, as we're exploring what we can do before the end of the year. I know Singapore is not close to India, where I'm assuming you're based, but it gives us an opportunity to enter where there are many corporate headquarters for the market, and it gives us that chance to be the crossroads between the South Pacific, which is Australia, New Zealand, and then the Southeast Asia proper, which are the countries of which, of course, India is part of. We do know that this is important. We're also looking at more regional approaches to membership costs and other things. We know that in Latin America and Southeast Asia in particular, it's a very different model. So we're looking with my team and the board on how to be more creative in the way that we can nurture membership and grow it in those regions. So your question's very important, and we'll take that offline. Thank you.
Suzanne, I'd just like to
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
For the membership, I've lived and worked in 9 countries, and I lived in Asia for over 25 years, in many countries across Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore. And so this is important markets, and they will not be, of course, ignored. We'll make sure that we enter them wisely, because you have to be highly relevant and have the right cost structure, as Suzanne talked about. But I want you to know and be reassured that from the board level, this is part of our commitment to be truly global and to make sure that once we are global, that we're also locally relevant. So thank you for the question. India is just such a great market, both for multinationals and also the great Indian national accounts, that we do need to be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure answering the question.
Yeah. Thanks, Suzanne and Allison. Looks like we're down to our last few minutes here, last 5 minutes or so. So I'm going to ask a question to our president of the Chapter President's Council, Rosemary. We had a question that came in as a part of the pre-questions, and the question is there a plan to incentivize or invigorate local chapter participation among members?
Thank you, Charlene. Last month, at the beginning of February, we held our U.S. Chapter Leadership Summit. We had about 120 of our board members from across our 38 chapters in the U.S. As part of that, it was our CPC meeting, which is all of the chapter presidents from those chapters. We had 36 of 38 people of our 38 representatives at that. During that summit, we had stuff around having engaging events, getting volunteer leaders involved, driving membership, and really just trying to pull in different resources that other chapters have found useful in their areas so that it can spread across the country. GBTA has also been working with committees to develop more content that can be locally based for those chapters. And our goal is to make sure that all of our chapters are successful, because we really see those as feeders into the global environment. If you would like more information or have more questions, you can reach out to me. The best way to reach me is president@nycbta.org, or you can reach out to Jill at GBTA and she can help you with this as well. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Rosemary. Well, it looks like we're down to our last few minutes. So I think what I'll do at this point is thank you, everybody who pre-submitted questions, to those who asked live questions and put questions in the chat. The conversation doesn't have to stop here, folks. We will take the questions that we were not able to get to and make sure that we provide responses to those. But now I'm going to pass it over to Denise, and she'll just close out and tell you how you can continue the conversation with us.
Well, thank you so much, Charlene, and thank you to all of our members for the great questions and feedback, and for the board members as well as staff for being on today's call and helping us navigate through our first ever town hall with the board of directors, and assure that this is something that we will continue to do throughout the year to continue with the engagement. And speaking of engagement, a great way to ask a question, if you didn't already do so in the chat or send it to us, is to email the GBTA board of directors. That email address is gbtaboard@gbta.org. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them to us. We will follow up, as we've promised, with the recording of today's call, the presentation, since we did have some technical issues, and the list of questions that were answered. And with that, I just want to leave it with, GBTA continues to be in a state of change, not only for GBTA, but our industry. And as a board, we're focused on getting closer to our members, becoming more transparent, and delivering more value. The meeting today is an example of that, and I hope that throughout the last 8 months, you've seen other examples of how we as a board are trying to continue to engage not only with our members, but also with our staff in working together as one group. We will continue to be here as your voice, as your advocate, but it doesn't just happen. We need you to continue to keep those dialogues open. So with that, I want to again thank everyone for your time today. I wish those a good evening, a good afternoon, and a good rest of your morning. And we look forward to seeing you at an upcoming GBTA event in person or on a future Zoom call. So thank you and have a great day, everyone.